Hello and welcome to a special bonus episode of Is It Worth It, the film review podcast. This episode is entitled What to Watch in Isolation. In this special episode, we will be suggesting a variety of films to watch at home while cinemas are closed and many of us find ourselves in lockdown. My name's Craig Fields and I'm joined by a number of podcasting team members. In line with the social distancing measures, we are not recording this in the studio. We are all in a separate location, united by the powers of technology. Guys, firstly, let's all introduce ourselves.
Hello, I'm David Long.
Hi, I'm Shivani Raya.
Hello, it's Ranjit.
Hi, I'm Floss.
Hi, I'm the Overlord, also known as Alex.
Fantastic. It's great to have you all here. Guys, how are we? Are we all doing okay?
Yeah, not doing too badly over here in St Albans. I managed to receive an Asda delivery today, which is supremely amazing. I'm really glad that we managed to get that. However, they did substitute a few of my items, one of which was hollandaise sauce. They substituted that for something that really wasn't anything like hollandaise sauce, so I was quite devastated about that. And they also substituted bubble bath, adult bubble bath for kids bubble bath. I was a bit weirded out by that. Yeah, and I'm not sure what the difference is. It might just be a smaller package, but either way, it's fine. But yeah, I'm all good over here in Isolationville in St Albans. So good.
I'm all good. I'm still, in lockdown as everyone else is. The only exercise I get is walking the dog, which is, I think, the most cases for most people. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah, same here. Just trying to keep busy, trying to catch up on the shows and the films and games, and walking up and down the garden.
I'm doing really good. I'm doing lots of gardening, painting, playing piano, loads of jigsaw puzzles, trying to ignore everything else that's happening. It's okay.
I decided to pick up The Lord of the Rings the other day, because I've never read it before. So that's going to be my fun challenge for the next few months. It's just to conquer the entire Lord of the Rings series, and then hopefully maybe move on to the Silmarillion or something.
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. I've got reduced hours at work, and obviously I live alone, so when I am at home, isolation's pretty tough, but keeping busy, watching plenty of films. And I just wanted to say, I'm sure all of our listeners would agree, it's great to have so many people on the show, all coming together via the incredible modern technology available to record this episode. Everyone involved in the Is It Worth It podcast is taking the COVID-19 crisis incredibly seriously, hence the remote recording. But we just wanted to take this opportunity to wish all of our listeners well. We have listeners all around the globe, and this is a truly global crisis we find ourselves in. However, together, by following our individual government guidelines, we can come through this pandemic. And I just wanted to say, if anyone is struggling with isolation, please don't hesitate to contact us via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or email, and we will happily talk to you guys.
Yeah, it's very true that this is affecting every single person around the world in some way or another. And as a team, we're going to be coming together to also create as much content as we can to help you stay entertained in this strange time we all find ourselves in. So without further ado, let's kick off this episode right now. So, what's everybody been watching? Ranjit, we'll start off with you.
So the other day I watched Rocket Man on Now TV. This was a film that I missed in the cinema, and I saw it on Now TV and I thought I'd give it a go. So it's the biographical musical film based on Elton John, starring Taron Egerton, directed by Dexter Fletcher. And I don't really know much about Elton John, which is another reason I wanted to watch it. And I know you and David, Craig and David both loved it, so I thought I'd give it a go, and I absolutely loved the film. I thought it was incredible. I loved the way that it sort of breaks the conventions of your normal sort of biographical biopic film, and I loved the sort of fantastical elements it had in it, which sort of really do portray Elton John's sort of persona and his way of bringing music to life. And like I said, I didn't know much about Elton John, so while I was watching it, I was surprised at how many of his songs I'd heard before, which is pretty cool. but yeah, I just love the way Taron Egerton transformed into the role, and just he's incredible in this film.
Oh, Aranj, what a great film to select as your first film to kick this off. I love this movie. I saw it in a cinema about 3 times, but I think Floss, did you see it a lot more?
I only got to see it twice in the end. I planned to see it many, many more times, but just timings didn't work out. But yeah, that was one of my favourite films of last year. I keep trying to get my family to watch it.
I saw it a couple of times in the cinema as well. I loved it as well. So good.
It must have been amazing in the cinema with the great sound and everything.
That's the thing. I really wanted to catch it when it was in, the massive screen with the big speakers. But yeah, timing was not my friend. They did a sing-along version, and I was working and I couldn't go to it.
It's a shame. I saw it in super screen, and that I believe has Dolby Atmos in it, and it was it was incredible. But it was just the way that they achieved something that Bohemian Rhapsody really wasn't able to do, and it told the story. It told it in a fantastical way, but was really truthful to how Elton John is as a person, and the way the music was entwined with the story was just perfect. I'm almost ashamed that the way that Bohemian Rhapsody was nominated for some of the awards it was, and Rocket Man wasn't. I was really quite appalled with that, to be honest with you. Disappointed, actually.
Yeah.
Probably a better way of putting it.
Both Dexter Fletcher kind of productions at the end of things, because he came in to save Bohemian Rhapsody, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I like that Rocket Man was a bit weirder.
Yeah.
It wasn't afraid to be like, now we're going to have this massive dream sequence, and they properly made it into a musical. They had great choreography.
Yeah. I think that's what I loved about it as well. I love the fact that the music wasn't just sort of concert footage or, him in a recording studio. I just loved the way that it told so much of the story through the music, the sort of music montages. And yeah, like I said, I liked that it went in places where I felt like Bohemian Rhapsody was scared to go.
Yeah.
But this wasn't like that, and it just it went where it wanted to go, and it's told an amazing story, and it's a great watch. I think while you're at home, and a great way to escape from what's going on. It's a couple of hours. It's a brilliant watch right now, and that's on Now TV.
What's your second one then, Ranj?
So my second one is What We Do in the Shadows on Amazon Prime. This is honestly, in my opinion, one of the best comedies, maybe within the last 10 years, maybe the best comedy of the last 10 years. Directed by Taika Waititi. It has Jermaine Clement in it, and Taika Waititi also stars in it, who a lot of people may know from Thor Ragnarok and Jojo Rabbit. Was that last year or this year? This year, I think. But yeah, so What We Do in the Shadows, it's about it's a sort of mockumentary about some vampires, and it's just absolutely hilarious. This film is incredible. It'll keep you laughing from start to finish. It was a very sort of small budget film, only made $7 million worldwide, but it had a massive impact. There's now a TV show based on the film, which is on BBC, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, this film is honestly one of my top comedies of all time, and it's just, especially right now, you can't do worse than just watching this film and just laughing your head off for a while. It's so good.
That's a great pick,
wicked.
yeah.
No, yeah, that's such a good pick. I actually watched the TV series first, and then the movie, and I thought the movie was actually vastly better. But the TV series was, the first episode was directed by Taika Waititi as well. It's brilliant. I mean, just the whole concept of it being a mockumentary but on something that's about vampires. It was just hilarious, and it was just so well done, so well executed, and the humour's so dry, but just brilliant. Yeah, two wicked choices there, Ranj. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, it's just it's really good.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah, just a really fantastic, really funny film. Really wholesome as well.
I think it's one of those comedies that just has so many quotable lines as well, and it will stay with you for a while. But yeah, absolutely. If you've got a chance to check it out on Prime, do it right now while it's on there.
Cool, good stuff. Floss, you're up next.
So I've gone for some very different things. Well, the first one I've chosen is Snowpiercer, because that That's on Amazon Prime now, and when that came out, it was so hard to find anywhere. There was kind of a lot of problems with the distribution, some stuff involving Harvey Weinstein. I don't think it ever got released in cinemas here properly. And then I finally got to see it on my birthday this year at the Prince Charles Cinema. That was fun. So it's a failed attempt at combating climate change, and it leads to like a complete global freeze, and the only people that survive are the people that are on this train that's just constantly circling the globe. It's like a really amazing piece of technology, but obviously there's a front half of the train and a back half of the train, and the people in first class have things a lot better than people at the back. I haven't mentioned it's from Bong Joon-ho, who obviously had a great year this year with Parasite. And this film is, in a lot of ways, a precursor to that. All the stuff about class and wealth is very present in Snowpiercer. And it's got a great cast. So it's got Chris Evans, it's got Tilda Swinton in this like amazing transformation. There's like Octavia Spencer, John Hurt, so many good people. It's very weird. It wasn't the highest budget film ever, but I think it's a really interesting, cool film that didn't get as much attention as it should have done when it first came out.
Yeah, I really liked it as well. Have you seen Okja?
No, I haven't watched that yet.
You'd really like it. It's an absolutely great film, and you've got Tilda Swinton and Jake Gyllenhaal doing a crazy, crazy character. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, they're both great films.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must say, I think I preferred Snowpiercer to Parasite, actually. I watched it recently and I kind of found that it set my expectations and then blew them out of the water every 20 minutes. It did that throughout the entire film. It's just quite a masterpiece, really.
Yeah.
I think it's...
Sorry, Flo.
Oh, no, sorry, Craig. Just, like, go in not knowing very much, because there's some, like, cool, twisty stuff.
Cool, because I haven't actually seen it at all, and obviously... on the back of Parasite, I really want to watch it. Where did you say it was available again?
It's on Amazon Prime currently.
Cool. I will definitely be catching that. I know, David, you watched Snowpiercer, didn't you?
Yeah, so once, obviously, there was a lot of Oscar buzz around Parasite, I decided to check out some of Bong Joon-ho's work, and I watched Snowpiercer. I think I watched it on Amazon Prime. So I saw it before I actually saw Parasite. And yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. Like Floss said, there's lots of themes that run through Snowpiercer that cross over into Parasite. But Bong Joon-ho just proves that he's a man at the top of his craft. It's a really tense and action-packed film. Really good acting in it as well. And yeah, it's on Amazon Prime and it's definitely worth watching. For me, I preferred Parasite. Obviously, Parasite did go on to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards, but Snowpiercer, nonetheless, is a film well worth watching.
I'd say Parasite is definitely a lot more polished. You can tell that he's, had several more years of his career to hone stuff since making Snowpiercer. I can't remember when I first watched it, but it was back at uni and it was on a tiny screen and we had to use a VPN to get it via Netflix from some other country somewhere, and it really... it set off a lot of questions in my head that then, films just sometimes grip you and then you think about them for months afterwards. It was one of those for me.
Cool. So, Floss, what's your second film?
My second film is pretty different. It's Inside Llewyn Davis from the Coen brothers.
Oh, yes, Floss.
Also on Amazon Prime. This is another one of those films that shaped my life a little bit for a while. So it's about a folk singer. He's played by Oscar Isaac, and it's sort of set just before Bob Dylan burst onto the scene. So he plays Llewyn Davis, who used to be part of a musical duo, and now for various reasons, which I won't spoil, he's going solo, and he's just trying to get his career going. And there's not a huge amount of plot. It's just kind of like a character study of this guy who could be something, but he has, first of all, he has really bad luck, but also he's a bit of a knob, and he doesn't seem to face the fact that it's his decisions as well which are stopping him from getting anywhere. he's got like a really blunt nature and he's rude to people. He alienates everyone. So people that are like trying to give him chances, you know, he pisses them off and then they don't try and help him again. But the music's really great. He's I think everyone does their own performing. It's Justin Timberlake's in it, Carey Mulligan, Adam Driver shows up for a little bit. There's a great John Goodman extended cameo. I don't know, it's a very slow, kind of speculative film, and I really love it a lot.
Floss, honestly, what a great choice as well. I think Oscar Isaac is so good in this movie, and the music is brilliant. And I just remember distinctly the opening scene. If I'm remembering this correctly, it's just him on the stage playing a song, and it's so intimate and it's just so well done. And I just love it. Where did you say it was on? Was that Amazon Prime as well?
Yeah, that's Amazon Prime as well. I suppose, a thing that I like about this film is that when they perform songs, that's like the whole song, and I think it's, as it was done on the set that day, and it feels very true and not polished.
Just raw, isn't it?
Nice. Yeah. It's very, very folky.
I've been meaning to watch this actually, but I've seen have you seen Oh Brother Where Art Thou, which is another Coen Brothers film with George Clooney, that's his name. And also The Big Lebowski is obviously up there. I don't know, is Inside Llewyn Davis, is it a Coen Brothers comedy, or is it one of the...
Yeah, I'd say it's like a dark comedy.
Okay.
And it's the same guy, isn't it, that does all the music kind of like coordination. Is it T-Bone Burnett?
I think so, yeah.
I think, yeah. It's, a spiritual link, I guess, to some of their other stuff.
Yeah, Inside Llewyn Davis is one of the few Coen Brothers films that I do like. I'm not the biggest fan of the Coen Brothers. I really don't like The Big Lebowski, Hail Caesar. I don't know, for them, it's just, I wasn't even a big fan of Fargo. I'm very hit and miss with the Coen Brothers, but this is Inside Llewyn Davis was a film that I really did enjoy. I think it was the performance from Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan, and the music, like you said, Floss, is just it's so infectious, and it's just so engaging to watch on screen. And I love the way the film is shot as well. It's sort of like a very muted, very sort of weird greeny grey colour throughout the film.
Yeah.
And like the framing, if I remember correctly, there wasn't the sort of the through line, a cat that he's following or something like that. I can't remember. I haven't seen it since the cinema, but it was a Coen Brothers film that I really did like. But like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of them, but this is a great film.
So does anyone else have anything to comment on that movie then? I'm going to take that as a no then. So Shivani, you're up.
Hello. Okay, so my first film is a bit of a guilty pleasure film that I think, like, it's just a film that it's a good family fun film. So it's Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the 2001 Angelina Jolie film, which seems to be perpetually on BBC iPlayer, so you can always find it on there. Directed by Simon West, and he's done various other action films, but it's got a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and 20% Rotten Tomatoes. So critically, it's but I loved this film growing up. Like she just was one of my role models, and it really had a big, really positive impact on me. And I rewatched it very recently, and it's so strange to see Angelina Jolie so young. She's like 25 in this film. It's crazy. It has very similar kind of vibes to like The Matrix. It's not as well formed as The Matrix, obviously, but it's got very similar vibes in terms of like music and costume. Like I said, it's a very fun action film for the whole family. So if you haven't seen it, it's obviously based on the video game, and this is like the first film that's based on the video game, because I know there was another one came out recently. about Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, and she's on a race against time to find an ancient relic before it falls into the wrong hands, and you've got the Illuminati and lots of fun action things going on.
All the things you love, Shivani.
Yeah, but this is a huge guilty pleasure for me, and I think it's just a very enjoyable watch if you don't think too much about it.
Great choice, Shivani. I've never seen the Angelina Jolie films, the Tomb Raider films. Did you watch the new one as well? How does that compare to these ones?
I watched bits of it, but I wasn't that impressed. I don't know. I was such a fan of the original films. I think as a new action film, I wasn't that impressed with Tomb Raider.
I'm inclined to completely agree with you, Shivani, with the latest one. That it was not good at all, and it was mainly because of the story. The acting was okay, but if we're going to talk about Angelina Jolie's first Tomb Raider, I mean, it is just a nostalgic kind of gaming conversion movie. And it wasn't bad, it just wasn't good either, unfortunately. But it is a bit of a good film to sort of chill out to and watch and zone out and just watch someone like Angelina Jolie just kick ass, basically.
Yeah, it's just a whole load of fun, which I think people might be needing right now.
Yeah, definitely. David, you've seen it, haven't you?
I haven't, no. I'll be honest, I haven't seen it. But I've got to commend Shivani. She always comes up with brilliant choices. And with Rotten Tomato scores like that, I think she's got a bigger set of balls than I do. So putting that out there. So well done, Shivani. If it's on BBC iPlayer, I'll add it onto my list of what to watch. I'm making a list of all the films I haven't seen that people are recommending, so that has been added to my list. Obviously, even though I haven't seen it, I do know that it's Angelina Jolie's known for that role, and it is a very iconic kind of film, so it's one that I would like to check out.
Yeah, there's loads of films on BBC iPlayer that just sort of crop up, but it's there's been several times that I've gone on and it's always there, so it's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah,
they stay on there for a while as well, I think.
Yeah, so I think it is a BBC film. I think that's probably why it's on there for a perpetual amount of time. But yeah, it's still on there now. Yeah.
Cool. Shivani, what's your second film then?
My second film is Spotlight, which is on Netflix, and it's directed by Tom McCarthy in 2015. Very, very different to my first choice of film. It's 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb and 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Very, very good film. Michael Keaton, Mark Ruffalo, and Rachel McAdams. So it's the true story of how the Boston Globe uncovered the massive scandal of child molestation and cover-up within the local Catholic archdiocese, obviously in Boston. So it's set sort of around the time of 9/11, and they sort of touch on that in the film. But it's a very it's similar to The Post in kind of journalist kind of scandal uncovering, all that kind of stuff. And it's very, very impactful, very emotive performances, especially from Mark Ruffalo. There is one bit that just gets me every single time. But obviously I won't go too much into detail from spoilers. But it's one of my favourite films. It's on Netflix, and definitely give it a watch if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen this, but I am definitely going to be giving that a watch. I'm going to be adding that to my list tonight, because I have heard amazing things about it, and I feel a bit ashamed that I haven't seen it, to be honest. Yeah,
I mean, it won the Academy Award for Best Picture, so it's very, very good film, and the Academy Award for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, which I think was Mark Ruffalo. But yeah, Michael Keaton is great in that film. But yeah, it's as a good sort of trilogy, maybe unrelated, but maybe that, Post, and All the President's Men, and then maybe throw in The Report for it as well if you're looking for a whole series of journalistic uncovers.
Yeah, no, I reckon, David, I know you're quite keen on those sort of films. Have you seen Spotlight?
Yeah, it's bizarre Shivani's picked this because I was looking through Netflix the other day and I saw Spotlight was on there, and obviously Spotlight won the Academy Award for Best Picture. So whenever there's a film on there that's a Best Picture winner, I always try and check them out. And yeah, I watched it, and it's a very... The pace is quite slow, but it's really, really engaging. So it really absorbs you and you get absorbed into the story. And it's also just such a deeply disturbing story. I found my jaw hitting the floor several times. Just blown away by the size and scale of this scandal. And the attitude within the Catholic Church towards it is nothing short of shocking. But I'd like to reiterate what Shivani said about Mark Ruffalo. I thought his performance was captivating. When he was on the screen, you were just, captivated, basically. He was so powerful, and I think I know the scene Shivani's referring to. Won't give away any spoilers, but it really did give me a bit of a lump in my throat. Just very, very powerful. Like I said, it's a quite a dark and heavy film, but I think on the back of recently I watched The Two Popes on Netflix, and that has a very, very different look at the Catholic Church. But Spotlight is, and I can see what Shivani's saying in the similarities to The Post and some of those other journalistic films you mentioned. I would describe it as a film you really should check out. Obviously, it won the Academy Award. It's got brilliant scores on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was really impacted by it. It had a deep impact on me, so I think it's a great choice.
It is, you're right, Shivani. It's an incredible film. It's very powerful, very heavy, but it's something that a lot of people should see. I think it's a real eye opener. But I think you're right. That with The Post is a great double bill. But in my opinion, I think The Post is just sort of slightly better. I think it's just a bit more of a well-made film. But yeah, Mark Ruffalo almost steals the show for Michael Keaton in this film. I'm not always the biggest fan of Mark Ruffalo. I don't know what it is about him, but I feel like sometimes when he's on screen, I can sort of feel him acting. I don't see any other character apart from Mark Ruffalo on screen. It's weird. It's just, I don't know what it is. That's always the case with him. But in this film, he does sort of become the character that he's portraying, and he's sort of lost in his role. But yeah, it's a heavy film, but it's an important film, and I think a lot of people should see it.
I think Mark Ruffalo is he's a really great actor. Alex and I saw him recently in Dark Waters, and we did review it. But we're going to bring that out a bit later on in the year when it sort of comes onto streaming services, that review. It might be in a later Cinema at Home episode, but he was amazing in that movie, and I think Alex would agree with me on that.
Yeah, no, he was really spectacular. I do have to agree with Ranj. I have a really hard time seeing him as anything other than Mark Ruffalo. I'm not sure he has it in his face to be particularly expressionate.
Yeah, you're right. It's the face. Yeah. I think it's the face. It's just
he doesn't really transform.
That's it.
Does he?
Yeah, it feels just like Mark Ruffalo is playing the characters a little bit too much.
Yeah. I mean, I did see the trailer. I haven't seen Dark Waters, but I saw the trailer for it, and he looks like he's playing the same character that he does in Spotlight. From what I've heard of Dark Waters, I think Spotlight is slightly better, but I obviously haven't seen it. But that's just from what I've heard. But yeah, it's a very similar kind of, a higher authority has done something wrong, and the underdogs are gonna catch them out.
It does a good job of making something quite mundane, like being journalists. They make it like very tense, and it could easily have been really dull. But the way they've portrayed the process of like uncovering the story makes it, very, very tense.
Yeah, but there's one bit with Rachel McAdams where she's like knocked on the door, and the person who answers it becomes so tense instantly. It's sorry, just without giving away too much.
I just wanted to briefly say that obviously Shivani recommended maybe doing a double bill with something like The Post. The Post is also available on Netflix at the moment.
Cool. Well then, without further ado then, Alex, you're up next.
So for my first film, I've chosen the 2014 film Love and Mercy, directed by Bill Pollard and starring John Cusack, Paul Dano and Elizabeth Banks. It's available to buy and rent on iTunes, and I think it's on Prime as well. and it's a biopic of the life of the Beach Boys frontman and leader Brian Wilson and his struggles to come to terms with his emerging psychosis. The film portrays his life in like 2 different parts, which run alongside one another. So Dano takes the younger role, and then John Cusack takes the older counterpart of Brian Wilson. And it's just really cool and really well done, and it doesn't feel jarring at any point that those 2 storylines run alongside one another. So like the first part of the film that Dano's playing the part of younger Brian Wilson, that all happens during the production and development of Pet Sounds, which is obviously like one of the most important albums ever, and follows that. And then John Cusack's section follows Brian Wilson's life in the 80s. So when he's gone through his psychotic break and, you know, he's in bed for several years and he's being abused by his therapist and carer. But it's fascinating, and I think the director does a really great job of displaying the sensitivities and the insecurities of Brian Wilson on screen. Like you say, you see 2 different sides of Brian Wilson. You see the side of his life before and leading up to his mental break, and his eventual recovery, which took some 20, 30 years. But it's just a really beautiful film, and the whole narrative is driven by the soundtrack, which is Pet Sounds. So lyrically, you can sort of really understand what Brian Wilson was going through at the time. But it's great. It's full of tension and melancholy, and it's probably one of my favourite films, and really worth a watch if you're a big music fan.
I haven't seen this, Alex, and I now really, really want to watch it. You said it's on Amazon Prime.
I think it might be on Prime, but I know that you can buy and rent it on the iTunes at the moment. But it's really interesting. I haven't spoken to almost anyone yet, I don't think, that has actually seen Love and Mercy.
Well, it's certainly on my list now. Has anyone else seen it?
No.
No, but you've sold it to me, Alex. I do want to check that out.
It's really fantastic. You guys should definitely check it out. It's a really beautiful
You had
film.
me at Paul Dano.
Yeah.
If no one else has seen the movie, do you want to tell us what your second one is?
Yeah, my second one was the 2007 film Control, which is about the life of the Joy Division singer Ian Curtis as he deals with his epilepsy and depression during the rise of the band. So it's directed by Anton Corbijn and stars Sam Riley. The whole film is shot in like a really beautiful black and white, which is just such a perfect reflection of the like drab lifestyle that he was living at that time. But it's just really interesting. You kind of go through the film understanding how Ian Curtis stumbled into one of the greatest bands of all time and had such an amazing and short-lived career with them. But again, it's a really great film. It's horribly depressing, but it's absolutely beautiful. And if you're not a fan of Joy Division, you will be once this film is over. It's really fantastic.
Again, another movie that I haven't seen, Alex, and you've literally sold me on
Such a
that
shame.
as well. Yeah, that one's definitely available on Prime, though. I've looked that one up.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to add that to my watch list for that one. Anyone else seen that one?
No, I mean,
No, I
honestly,
haven't
both of these.
You got to step it up.
Oh, Alex, I'm so sorry, but this is what this show's all about. It's amazing that, you know, a lot of the films we have seen, but the ones that we haven't, they're the ones that we want to watch, and hopefully our listeners will also want to watch as well. And you know, it's great when you get new films to be recommended like that. And I'm sorry I haven't seen it, but at the same time, I'm not sorry because I can't wait to watch it now.
Yeah, it's something great for everyone to enjoy who hasn't seen it now. They're both excellent films.
Yeah. Oh well, David, then I guess you're up.
Yes, well, I guess I am. And my first film recommendation is This Is 40. It's currently available to watch on Amazon Prime. And just a very brief synopsis. Pete and Debbie are both about to turn 40. Their kids hate each other. Both of their businesses are failing. They're on the verge of losing their house, and their relationship is threatening to fall apart. Now, I know that may not sound particularly funny, but I can assure you that this is a rom-com, and it is an incredibly hilarious film, proven by the fact that it was actually nominated for a Critics' Choice Award, for Best Comedy. It's got a stellar cast, including Leslie Mann, Paul Rudd, John Lithgow, Megan Fox, Albert Brooks, Jason Segel, and Melissa McCarthy. I actually rewatched this today, and it's about the third time I've watched this. And I would just say that this film is hilariously funny. I mean, really, the first time I watched it, I was laughing out loud loads. This was the third time I watched it today, and some bits still made me laugh out loud. It's incredibly well acted. I think it's also really well paced because it has a very long running time, 134 minutes actually, which is quite long for a rom-com. And I think that's why the Rotten Tomato scores aren't great. It gets a 52% score from the critics and a 50% score from the audience. I was really shocked when I looked up those Rotten Tomato scores earlier because I think it's a much, much better film than that. I mean, it's not a terrible score, but it's not as high as I thought. And I think one of the reasons for that is maybe the running time. But like I said, I think it's very well paced. I think it has a very good script. And what I also like is that it deals with a lot of real and relevant issues. And I think you probably heard that in the synopsis. The synopsis sounded quite heavy. So whilst being a rom-com, it also deals with some quite heavy issues as well. And really what it does is it wins you over with its sense of warmth and honesty. Like, there's just something so genuine and real about this film. And so, I mean, I'm not 40, I'm not close to 40, but I could just relate to this film on so many levels. And overall, it's just very real, it's sweet, it's smart, but most importantly, it's genuinely funny. Like I said, it's currently available to watch on Amazon Prime, and it's just a film that I would really, really recommend. Has anyone else seen this film? And if so, did you enjoy it?
Yes, I've seen it, but it was a really long time ago. I do just remember it being just very, very funny and almost quite uncomfortable at times because it does tackle those really uncomfortable things, ailments almost of hitting that older age of 40, which actually now that I'm 30 this year, it's not that far off. And I probably should rewatch it to kind of see how much I'm going to see myself in it, maybe. Anyone else?
That's a no.
No, I haven't seen it. Sorry.
I'm not a big rom-com person.
I like the cast in there, but it's not a film I've seen yet. But I always see it popping up on like Netflix and stuff, so I might give it a go.
Has he sold it to any of you?
No, honestly, guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It is worth watching, definitely, especially if you just want to chill out and just watch something funny, basically. David, what's your...
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
What's your second film?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. No, it's all it's all right, mate. So my second film is probably one of my favourite films of all time, and it's Dallas Buyers Club. It's currently available on Netflix, and it gets a fantastic 93% from the critics and a fantastic 91% from the audience. And what's it about? In 1985, Dallas electrician and hustler Ron Woodruff works around the system to help AIDS patients get the medication they need after he is diagnosed with the disease. I think the first thing to say about this film is it won 3 Oscars. Matthew McConaughey won Best Actor, Jared Leto won Best Supporting Actor, and it also won Best Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling. But it was nominated for 6 Oscars in total, including Best Picture, Best Editing, and Original Screenplay. Now, for those of you who follow Road to the Oscars, you'll know that a Best Picture nomination, a Best Editing nomination, and an Original Screenplay, that's 3 of the main categories. And for me, why I like this film is it takes very hard-hitting subject matter and it handles it so delicately and so well. I think there's career-defining performances in this film from Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto. I think both of them are superb, and that's proven by the fact that both of them won Academy Awards. It's just a powerful and moving film. It's really well-paced, it's really engaging, and the screenplay is sensational, and what the actors do with that screenplay is brilliant. And I think the reason that Leto and McConaughey both get Oscar wins here is that the characters just have so much depth, and I was honestly just blown away by this film. I haven't rewatched it recently, but from my memory, as soon as I saw this on Netflix, I thought I've just got to recommend that to people because it's such a good film. And overall, I think it's powerful, moving, and a great example of acting at its best. If you want to see 2 powerhouse performances, then check out Dallas Buyers Club, which is currently available on Netflix.
Oh, what a really good film choice there, David. I remember watching this and just being blown away by, first of all, the story. which is just so raw and sensitive, but handled so well. And then the performances as well, which Jared Leto transformed in this performance, and Matthew McConaughey as well, completely transformed. I mean, in terms of the way he looked and whatnot. And yeah, just a really, really amazing film. And yeah, I'd highly recommend that as well, definitely.
I thought this film was really, really good. I feel like it's an important facet of Matthew McConaughey's character that he starts out as a horrible, horrible man. He's homophobic, he's rude, he's sort of like in denial about having AIDS, and he transforms over the course of the film, and he has like quite a sweet relationship with Jared Leto's character, who is a transgender woman. And obviously they don't start off as great friends, but it's very, very sweet. It's really sad. It's really good.
Couldn't agree with what Floss said more there. Really expanded on some of the points that I said about the character development. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's really, really good choice, and it's one maybe not to choose lightly. It is a very not a difficult subject to tackle, or maybe it isn't. You might not be in the mood for that, but if you are in the mood for a bit of a heavy topic film, then that would definitely be the one to go for sure. I guess that's your two films then, isn't it? So I guess I'm up now then.
Yes, that is, yeah.
Okay, well, my first choice then is Flight of the Navigator. This came out in 1986. And it's about a 12-year-old boy who's called David. And David yeah. Unfortunately, David has an accident in the forest and he gets knocked out, and then he wakes up, and it's 8 years later. And his parents are obviously really happy to have him back, but it so happens that he hasn't aged a single day. And he's still the age that he was. He's still 12 years old. And it turns out that a NASA scientist has discovered an alien spaceship somewhere, and this is David's chance to sort of find out what happened to him and why he hasn't aged and why he's sort of been brought to the future in a really random way. And I remember watching this as a kid and just being transformed, or not transformed, but I was transfixed, I suppose is the word I was looking for, on the screen at this incredible story of a child who somehow hasn't aged a day, and it's 8 years later, and there's this alien spaceship that takes him round, and he becomes this navigator, and he has to navigate round. Oh, it's just insanely brilliant, and I don't know if anyone else has seen it, but it's so good. And if you want to watch it, it's on Disney Plus, by the way. Anyone else seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. It is brilliant. It's pure sort of 80s sort of campiness, and it's I think it's perfect for like a time right now. It's just, it'll take you back to being a kid. But yeah, you're right. I remember when I was a kid and I watched it, and the time travel bit really sort of, that was so interesting. It was just crazy to think about it. And then the design of the ship is so cool, and the little robot, is it a robot, an alien that's sort of talking to him in the ship? It was just so cool.
It was kind of like HAL from 2001: Space Odyssey, and it was so cool. Like, I just remember being like, that's probably the moment where I sort of realised I'm a bit of a nerdy, geeky, kind of sciencey kind of kid here, and I just loved the concept of that film and kind of wished that I was that kid. Don't know if you felt like that, Rand.
Yeah, I did. It's just, I think it would just like put you back in the mindset of being like a sort of adventurous kid again, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. Anyone else seen it or wants to watch it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sold on the concept there.
Sounds really fun.
You sold it to me, Craig. You've sold it to me.
Well, if you've got Disney Plus, cue that up now, because that is streaming on there. It's actually, it's a Disney film, so it's I haven't been able to find it anywhere for ages, and when I saw that it's available on Disney Plus, I was just like, yes, so good. But my second film then is Free Solo. This is also on Disney Plus, but it's not actually like a feature fictional movie of any sort. This is actually a documentary, and it's about Alex Honnold, who attempts to be the first person to ever free solo a 3,000-foot wall called El Capitan in Yosemite, if I got that right.
Yes.
Fantastic. I'm always getting things wrong like that. And this is a wicked documentary. It's like the build up to Alex's climb or his ascent up on the wall, and he's crazy. I mean, he climbed 3,000 foot on one of the biggest walls in the world to free solo, basically without any equipment, without any help at all. Where he could have at any point plummeted to his death. So you are on absolute tenterhooks throughout the whole course of the film. There's the build up to the bit where he actually goes to do the climb, and then when he does do the climb, you are scared for him. You know that this wouldn't have been put out if he actually died, but like the whole time you're watching it, it's like, oh my god. I remember reviewing this on the podcast, on the main show. I can't remember what week it was, but it was ages ago. And I did it with my friend Matt Meggett and another guy who runs another podcast. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and I should have done my research there. But we had them both on as guests, and these guys are like climbing fanatics. And this was a kind of a controversial film in the climbing world because it sort of encouraged people to maybe attempt to do free soloing as well. And from that perspective, it was a really, really kind of amazing film to watch. I highly recommend watching this film if you want to be put on edge a little bit. But at the same time, just as a visual point of view of watching somebody attempt to do this, it's breathtaking and really worth the watch. And again, that's on Disney Plus as well. Anyone else seen it?
It's one I've been meaning to watch for a long time. I've been to El Capitan.
Have you?
And it's a big old rock.
Yeah, so if you've seen it, you've seen it, and you've seen the scale of it, so you know what a challenge and what a feat that was for somebody to climb that without any equipment. It's incredible.
Yeah, Craig, I remember your interview on that episode of the podcast, and that's like it was so interesting to listen to about the sort of mindset of these climbers and how their brains are almost wired differently to ours. And that's ever since I've heard that interview, I've always wanted to watch the film and just haven't had the chance. But now that it's on Disney Plus, I'm definitely going to check it out. But yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
Good stuff. Right, well,
Yeah.
David, sorry, go on, mate.
No, I was just going to say I had a wonderful holiday to Yosemite National Park about 10 years ago now, and I've seen that particular rock in question, and it is absolutely huge. And now that I know this is available on Disney Plus, I definitely need to check it out. By the way, Yosemite is just one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. So I'll just like to relive some of those memories by watching this documentary as well. But I've heard lots of good things about this documentary.
You may end up reliving some of those memories, but most of the time you'll probably be put on edge, trust me. It's breathtaking, but it's also like on your edge of your seat stuff, definitely.
I can imagine.
So that's all of our recommendations. We are going to go to an ad break, and we'll be back with our must watch films that you just have to watch after this break.
We interrupt this broadcast of Is It Worth It, the film review podcast, for an important announcement. If you're enjoying the podcast, we would like to remind you that you can now become a Patreon supporter for as little as $3 a month. This helps the podcast to continue to grow, as well as offering the potential for bonus content and Is It Worth It merchandise. Your support helps the podcast stay alive. So why not become a Patreon supporter today? Head on over to www.patreon.com/isitworthitpodcast.
So this is the section of this episode where we look at our must-watch movies. Ranjit, you're going to kick us off on that one, please.
Yeah, so I'm going to cheat slightly here. My must-watch movie is actually 3 movies, and I'm going to go for The Lord of the Rings, the extended editions. It's just the standard ones on Netflix, but on Prime you can rent the extended ones. I think they're £3.50 each. But honestly, if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings this way, the extended way, treat yourself, because the extended versions add so much more to the story. So many of the gaps that the theatrical editions missed out. You just sort of fall into the world a lot more, and you understand a lot more character motivations, which were missing in the theatrical editions. But honestly, I think, in my opinion, this is the best trilogy ever made. I don't think anything's ever beaten it, or ever will beat it. It's just pure craftsmanship. It's just a masterpiece of filmmaking throughout this whole trilogy. Directed by Peter Jackson the whole way through, starring Elijah Wood and Viggo Mortensen, Ian McKellen, Orlando Bloom, Liv Tyler, Kate Blanchett, like an incredible cast all the way through. Everyone is on point in this whole series. And yeah, if you've seen Lord of the Rings, that's great, but you need to watch them extended. Like, I can't watch them any other way now. I refuse to. And yeah, it's just while they're on Prime, go for it. Especially, everyone's at home now. We've got 9 hours to kill. It's the best time to do it. So yeah, do it all in one
I mean,
sitting
if you're talking
you
about
want.
the extended versions, it's going to be 12 hours.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's even longer. So yeah, to do it all in one go if you can. These films are just incredible. They just the world building is so good, and obviously that's all because of the work done by Tolkien in the books before. But Peter Jackson brings his vision to life so well. And yeah, these films are just absolute modern classics, and they're a must-watch in my opinion.
100%.
Excellent choice. Honestly, I do feel like we should actually discuss each of these films as we go through it. We were going to do this a bit of sort of rapid fire, but actually no. Ranj, this is wicked. What a wicked choice to go for. I know it's not one film, but it's multiple, but you could consider it as one long, massive movie, because it kind of is in a way. They were almost shot back to back, weren't they? Yeah, it was one book.
Yeah, they were.
I don't know.
They were shot back to back. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. It's one film then. Just split in half. At each point. No, wicked choice, and I definitely think that people should really get on that if they haven't seen it, and if they haven't seen the extended version, really get on that and purchase that if they wanted to. But otherwise, Netflix is where the normal editions are, I guess.
Yeah.
Everyone knows I'm the tall one, you're the short one.
There's so many scenes that I've come to think of, like, oh, that's one of my favourite scenes in this, and then I watch, because I've got all the originals on DVD from back in the day, and one on VHS as well, and I watch it and I'm like,
wow.
oh, that scene just didn't happen, because it was from the extended version, so it's not like just filling out space unnecessarily. Like, there's like really good stuff in the extended editions.
I think there are a few scenes where you can understand why they were cut, which don't really sort of add much to the story, but then the majority of them do. And like I said, because there's a whole, you don't really see in the theatrical editions, you don't really see why Boromir's father isn't favours Faramir over him, but in the extended editions you do, and that adds so much more to what happens to Boromir and his character, and you learn a lot more about him, and not just him, just so many characters in general. You miss a lot from the theatrical editions, but
Am I right in thinking that the whole Faramir and Eowyn thing is in the extended ones as well?
Yeah, it's in the extended. That's not in the theatrical editions at all. Yeah, that's not in there at all.
I remember so much more about Treebeard and Merry and Pippin in the extended, because that happens so fast.
Yeah, you're right, Floss. There's so much more of that of them three when they're split up from the Fellowship. But 100%. Extended edition is the way to watch these films.
Am I right in thinking that the mouth of Sauron is in the extended editions and not in the
that's
theatrical?
in the extended.
He's such a cool character.
That's crazy.
Yeah, such a great design, great character. But again, that whole bit is not in the theatrical edition at all. So it is a really great way to watch the films.
Floss, you're up next with your must-watch movie to cap off this show.
Okay, well, I don't know if I misinterpreted or... Well, no, I didn't misinterpret, but so I've taken this as the one that I'm saying, like, just watch this, I'm not going to try and sell it, because if you try and explain the film, you ruin it. And the film is Midnight Special from 2016, directed by Jeff Nichols. And
yes!
As much as I will say, so... A special boy is being kidnapped from the cult that he lives with. They're being pursued by the cult and the government. That's like as much as I think I should say.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's got Michael Shannon, Joel Edgerton, Adam Driver again, Kirsten Dunst, and it's a really good film. It's very weird. Some people love where it goes. Some people think it was awful. I haven't actually spoken to many people that have watched it, but you guys all just went yes, so I guess you guys have.
Yeah, just quickly, some of us can see each other on video, some of us can't, but those of us that see us on video, when Floss mentioned that, we all just went crazy, like, yes, that was amazing.
I just went for crazy for Adam Driver. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you should, Shivani.
It's so good.
I really want to watch
incredible.
it. I really, really, really want to watch it.
Yeah, I feel like to try and, like, if you go in and you read reviews first, you're doing a bit of a disservice, because all the weird stuff that happens. No, I'm not even going to say. Okay, I'm not going to say anything.
No, I think you're right,
don't.
Floss. Just go in blind in this film. Also want to give a shout out to David Wingo, the composer. The music is so good in this film. It really does elevate the story. But yeah, it's a great performance for Michael Shannon again, as usual, and Adam Driver, and it's just crazy twists and turns, and you don't really want to know much about it beforehand. So definitely check it out while it's on Netflix.
I should shout out Jaden. I think he goes by Jaden Martell now. You probably saw him in the It films where he plays Bill. But he was in this when he was younger, and he's a really great little kid actor. He's really, really strong in this. And it's definitely on, I can't actually remember. I think I saw it was on Amazon Prime. I think all mine were from Prime, so I was just flicking through. And
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely Amazon Prime, because I'm pretty sure I recommended it maybe a couple of months ago. But yeah, no, what a wicked film. It's so special, and that's in the title, but it's just so stylized, it's so well paced, the acting's amazing in it. It's just an all-round a really wicked film, but it won't be for everybody, but it's certainly up there as one of my favourites of all time, to be honest with you. It's so good.
Yeah, you definitely sold it. I definitely want to watch it.
Adam Driver, Shivani.
Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe I haven't seen it.
Is it a horror?
Yeah.
No, I would say it's science fiction drama.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's a horror, but it's directed by Jeff Nichols, who is a really, really good director. If you haven't seen another film that he's done, there's a film called Take Shelter, which also has Michael Shannon in it again, and that film is incredible.
Shivani, you're up next.
Okay, so I thought I'd be the only one to pick a documentary, but Craig, you obviously picked a documentary. But I've picked Blackfish as my must-see film. It's on Netflix, and very similar critical results from Spotlight as well. So it's 8.1 out of 10 and 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's a documentary following the controversial captivity of killer whales and its dangers for both humans and whales. It focuses on a whale in SeaWorld. SeaWorld? Yeah, SeaWorld. Called Tilikum, who sort of is a quite famous killer whale. It's a very, very emotive documentary. I did, the first time I watched it, I did cry. It's a heavy watch, again, like Spotlight, but I can't express how good this documentary is, and I love a good documentary, but this is like one of my favourites, and there's so much in there that just makes you so angry, and it's animals, so everyone loves animals. I don't know if anyone's seen it.
I haven't seen it. Has anyone else seen it?
I have not seen it either.
No, but it sounds really cool and really upsetting.
I have seen it. It's a fantastic choice from Shivani. I watched it pretty much the day it came out. It was something that I was really, really excited to see. It's such a powerful documentary. I've been to SeaWorld in Florida, and there is so much controversy surrounding the captivity of orcas, of killer whales, because they're such intelligent, smart animals, and their actual captivity is something that I think in the near future is going to be abolished. But it is just such a powerful documentary. It's a brilliant watch. I think Shivani's made a fantastic choice there.
I mean, it's another eye opener, like Spotlight. So they both kind of bring to light issues that you don't know that you should care about. It's a very, very good film.
Awesome stuff. I will definitely watch that. My girlfriend Charis absolutely loves documentaries, so that's going to be the next one that we probably watch. And Alex, you're up next.
I chose 28 Days Later as my must-watch film, which I understand is probably quite a strange one, but I just think it's such an amazing film. It's directed by Danny Boyle and it stars Cillian Murphy. It's probably, I think, his best role. Just the scale of production that they went for in this film is really incredible. They managed to completely empty out central parts of London for this whole film. It's set during an apocalypse. And it's just really amazing. Just a really cool, realistic look at what might happen in England if a similar scenario went on.
Can you imagine England with like empty streets?
Yeah, how strange would that be?
I mean, a lot of London is looking like that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it is almost comparable to sort of things that are going on right now in some circumstances. In the fact that people aren't going out as much and the streets are empty. It is really strange and eerie, and that film really does evoke a lot of the same feelings of what is going on at the minute. So if you want to have some familiarity in terms of the movies that you're watching with what's running parallel to today's society, that's certainly one to watch right now, definitely.
I haven't seen it, Alex. Where did you say it was?
I found it on Google Play, YouTube, iTunes and Amazon Video.
Okay, I'm definitely
There's 4 places you can get it from. But yeah, do check it out. It's a really, really good film.
Well then, David, you're up next.
So my must-watch film, the film I have selected is The Theory of Everything. It's currently available to stream on Netflix. It stars Eddie Redmayne and Felicity Jones. And the reason I think this is a must-watch film is I think Eddie Redmayne's portrayal of Stephen Hawking is probably one of the greatest on-screen performances of all time. And I don't say that lightly. I've seen many films, but his portrayal of Stephen Hawking is just mesmerising. It's uncanny. It's actually quite scary how realistic he is in this film. Eddie Redmayne won an Academy Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role. Felicity Jones was nominated for Actress in a Leading Role. The film was also nominated for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay. So it got 4 Oscar nominations, 1 win for Eddie Redmayne, and rightly so. It gets a brilliant 79% from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and 84% from the audience. And if you haven't seen this film, it is just incredible. Obviously, the tragic story of how this incredible scientist got motor neurons disease, but then the heroic nature of how he overcame that disease, lived many years longer than he was told he would, and obviously became one of the best theoretical physicists, I believe that's correct, of all time. A very intelligent man. I certainly can't do his intelligence justice, but this film does his life justice. It's currently available on Netflix. It's called The Theory of Everything, and it is fantastic.
Oh, David, yeah, what a great film to have picked. I'm a big fan of Stephen Hawking and all of the work that he's done on black holes and theories of physics and whatnot. And I've read a few of his books, and they are very detailed and very difficult to understand, especially for somebody who's not so au fait with physics and whatnot. But it is a brilliant movie, and one that I really enjoyed watching to get a really good understanding of what Stephen Hawking was completely all about as a man. I mean, a lot of it may have been fictionalized to some extent, but I still think that it's a really amazing movie to watch, and one that really highlights what a amazing individual that man was.
Really great film. I think another one that sort of got compared to was The Imitation Game, and in terms of films critically, Theory of Everything is just so much better. It's so good. It's such a good film. Very good film.
I think the good thing about his performance is that it's very it's not a vain performance. It's very committed, and it's committed to showing how really actually horrible and ugly stuff got for him. And yeah, it's like you said, it's uncanny how much at times he looks like Stephen Hawking.
Great pick there, David. If anyone doesn't have anything else to say on that film, I'll go into the last film that's the must-watch, and that's from me. Yeah? Yeah. All right then. So my film is The Truman Show, and this is available on Now TV, and it stars it stars Jim Carrey, and it's directed by Peter Weir. And I think this is my must-watch movie whilst in isolation, because it's just such an insight into sort of the sort of the true horrible nature of what like 1984 was like in terms of the novel there, and you've got the Big Brother, the people that watch everybody else. It's a real insight into voyeurism in a way, in terms of a reality TV show, but when one man simply doesn't know that he's in that reality TV show, and every aspect of his life is being controlled by the outside world, and it's bizarre and just incredible and funny and raw and emotional and everything that you'd want to watch rolled into one package, in terms of all the emotions that you want to experience whilst wanting to watch a movie. It's just everything about it is just spectacularly brilliant.
I love
the
that
performances
film.
are
So
great.
good.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm guessing most of you have seen it then.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
this film. One of the best Jim Carrey performances, I think. And I actually saw this film quite recently for the first time, and it just blew my mind. I hadn't seen it before, but it's such a great concept and quite relevant in today's sort of reality show obsessed world. But yeah, brilliant, absolutely must watch.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it has sort of similar vibes to Pleasantville, which is a Tobey Maguire film. I can't remember which year it is, but yeah, similar sort of like aesthetic and vibes to that.
Yeah, I absolutely adored this film. On on Topical Talk, we talked about films that should have won Oscars. And if we're talking about actors that should have won Oscars, then I think Jim Carrey, for his performance in The Truman Show, has to be right up there. He is just brilliant in this film. I think Craig's hit the nail on the head. This is a must-watch film, not only in isolation, but just in general. The Truman Show is fantastic.
Thank you, David. Anyone else want to add anything to that? Well, then I will take that as a no, and we can start wrapping up this show.
I do have a few honourable. Sorry.
The music came in. You came in so late,
I know,
Shivani.
I'm
Go
so
on then.
Sorry, it's the lag on recording. For Netflix, I've got Birdman, which absolutely amazing film.
Or An Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
Ignorance,
Or
yes.
something like that.
Brilliant
got
choice.
The Death of Stalin. Death of Stalin's incredible film. Jaws, which is also on Netflix. The Seven Psychopaths. I, Tonya, which is very recently just come onto Netflix, like the last few days.
Yes.
Legally Blonde as another little guilty pleasure there, but it was great. I've also got Lord of the Rings on this list, but it's already
We're
been
just
mentioned.
reeling off films now, but great choices,
Yeah.
definitely.
And then for Amazon, I've got Fantastic Mr. Fox and Four Lions. And then iPlayer again, Velocity of Z, Foxcatcher, and Personal Shopper, which are all on iPlayer.
Ooh, Foxcatcher, great film as well. Floss, you've got your notes now. What have you got on that list?
Well, most of these are on Amazon Prime. So I've got Hunt for the Wilder People, I've got Disaster Artist, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Brokeback Mountain, Locke, Carol, Stan and Ollie, and then also over the page on Netflix, Quiet Place, I, Tonya, Captain Fantastic, and Apollo 11. Such a great documentary if you love space. I love space. Thanks for listening to our special episode on what to watch in isolation.
If you've enjoyed listening, why not share our podcast with your friends and family?
Or why not leave us a review on Apple Podcasts with a 5-star rating? It all goes a long way to helping us get more visibility.
And if you'd like to contact the show, there are various ways you could do that. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now WhatsApp.
And I'm on Bumble. But if you'd like to know more, then head on over to the website to find all of our social links. Or alternatively, you could email us. Craig, what's that email address again?
Well, the email address is mymail@isitworthitpodcast.com. That email address again is mymail@isitworthitpodcast.com. So why not drop us an email and tell us what you've been watching whilst in isolation?
Yes, that's right, Craig, and that just gives me the opportunity to say thank you for listening to this episode, and we hope you've enjoyed it. There's been plenty of film recommendations for you to get your teeth stuck into, so enjoy watching those films, and it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Stay home and stay safe.
And goodbye from me.